You're watching the KSC Chiefs Report powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. It is time to touch our bags and drop our sacks on today's show. As you got questions, you're in luck. I got answers. Already seen some trade ideas come in. You guys are asking about Bryce Huff, Allen Lazard, among others. We'll get to those coming up in just a moment. Let's begin the mailbag this week with the one and only Tony Fuentes. Tony writing in, can the Chiefs trade for Terry McLaurin? How much would it cost us? Glad you asked, Tony. So we did a video on the channel a few days ago talking about Scary Terry. And at the time of this recording, he is still a member of the Washington Commanders and is looking for a new deal. He's got one more year remaining on his current contract. And he would like to get paid, and he deserves to get paid. He's the top 10 receiver in this league. He's dealt with some pretty bad quarterbacks. When you talk about Sam Howell, what in the Sam Howell? Jacoby Brissett, among others, and yet year after year continues to put up 1,000-yard campaigns. Had arguably the best season of his career last year with Jaden Daniels under center there in Washington, and he's still not that old either. I think if you were to trade for Scary Terry, you'd probably have to give up a second-round pick, and then on top of that, you would also have to pay the man a lot of money as well. That might be too steep for the Chiefs, but he would certainly be a difference maker. I would love to see Scary Terry here, but I don't think it's going to happen. Tony, thanks for the question. Appreciate you submitting that to us. Carl writes in, any chance of Pacheco and Smith package every game? So I believe what Carl's asking, could we see Pacheco and Smith on the field together? Yeah, I don't see why not. Especially, you look at Brashard Smith, and he's a very good pass catcher. Pacheco's a physical running back. I think that they can be like that thunder and lightning combination, and you could keep defenses off guard by not knowing what's coming between the two of them there. In every game, yeah, I think that you very well could see them on the field together every game this season. I don't think that's a crazy idea. If Brashard Smith can live up to his hype and potential, he can very quickly, before the season begins, move all the way up to that RB2 slot ahead of Kareem Hunt. He's that talented. I'm a big fan of his. I think Pacheco's going to bounce back this season. I think there's a good chance you see them on the field together, at least for a couple of plays every game this year. Folks, want to make sure not only you're subscribed to the KSC Chiefs Report, but also you're part of the Noti Gang. Those are the folks that have their notifications turned on. They're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel, from our daily news and rumors to our live shows we do on Tuesdays, breaking news, Q&A mailbags. Sometimes we're doing 2 and 3 videos a day. Anytime we have new content, if you're part of the Noti Gang, you'll be the first to know when we have those new videos on the channel. So stop what you're doing. Not only subscribe, but turn on notifications, and you will be alerted when we have those new videos on the channel. If you're part of that Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section. Subscribe now. Hit that Noti bell. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. We appreciate you all for subscribing and turning on your notifications. Freshie Mahomes writes in, should the Kansas City Chiefs trade for Bryce Huff? So Bryce Huff, he's played for a couple different teams now. Philly, New York, and now he's with San Francisco. And there's already talks, even before he has even put on the uniform with the Niners, that they could be potentially looking to move on from him. Bryce Huff was an afterthought on that Philadelphia Eagles team last year that won the Super Bowl. 13 tackles, just 2.5 sacks, 3 TFLs, and 1 forced fumble after a season in New York where he had 10 total sacks and 10 TFLs and 29 tackles. I think that we've probably seen the best of Bryce Huff at this point. I don't think Bryce Huff makes you any better. It kind of reminds me of when the Chiefs brought in Josh Uche last year from the New England Patriots. They saw that he had potential, that he had numbers, but he couldn't even get on the field. And I think that's the problem for Bryce Huff, is that you have guys that are better than him already. And so I would vote towards no when it comes to bringing Huff in. That's how I would lean towards. I don't want to really give up anything. And, I mean, you got guys like King Felix and others, Ashton Gelati, that still need to prove themselves. I think that you're better than what people think when it comes to pass rushers. I lean towards no. Should the Chiefs trade for Bryce Huff? Your chance to be the GM here, the KSC Chiefs Report. You got two options here. Type T for trade, P for pass. Weigh in the comments section and tell me what you think if they should trade for Huff or not. Bell writes in, do you think the Chiefs will keep their foot on the gas this year? So, Bill, this is an interesting point. So, we look at this dynasty run of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the first Super Bowl, they were dominating teams, right? Running through them left and right, just blowing out teams piece by piece. And then as the years have gone on, what we've seen is the Chiefs have played a lot of close games in the regular season. And last year, the haters and the losers were saying this team was getting away with wins. They were winning games they did not deserve to do so. To which I disagreed. I said good teams find ways to win. That's what we saw from the Kansas City Chiefs. But in the past, in that stretch, we've seen where Andy Reid kind of kept the offense vanilla and didn't want to show too much in the regular season. And so they weren't blowing out teams because they weren't revealing all their cards. Well, now I see the way this offense is stacking up with already having the defense that they have with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Jalen Royals, Juju Smith-Schuster, Isaiah Pacheco. If the offense stays healthy and lives up to their full potential, I don't care how vanilla you make the offense. They are going to run through some teams, and they should be able to put their foot on the gas. I don't expect it to be a season like last year where they're lollygagging around playing grab ass with each other and not reaching their full potential. I think you'll see more blowouts this year. If you're a betting man like myself, you'll want to be picking the Chiefs to cover the spread more often than not, comparatively speaking to what we've seen in the past. Obi-Wan Kenobi writes in, would you be open to trading for Allen Lazard? Allen Lazard, at the time of this recording, is still a member of the New York Jets. He joined Aaron Rodgers there in New York a couple of years ago after previously playing with him in Green Bay. And he had a bounce-back season last year. After a down year in 2023, last year Lazard accounted for 37 catches, 530 yards, 6 touchdowns, 14.3 yards of reception. It was a decent year for Allen Lazard. But I think that if Allen Lazard is going anywhere, he probably plays the game of, I'm going to go wherever Aaron's at. He's probably headed to Pittsburgh if he's going to leave the New York Jets. I don't know who Allen Lazard is without Aaron Rodgers. In fact, actually, I kind of do. I take that back because 2023, Aaron Rodgers only played 4 games, and Allen Lazard had to deal with Zach Wilson, and it did not go that great. So I'm not high on this idea. He's a little bit older now. I know that he played his college ball at Iowa State and everything, but I'm kind of out. I think you're fine at receiver, and if you are going to add a receiver, I think you can do better than Allen Lazard. Should the Chiefs trade for Allen Lazard? You got 2 options here. Type Y for yes, in for no. Tell me if you think they should make a move for Lazard or not. Got time for a couple more questions here. Aiden writes in, what do you think the Chiefs' biggest problem is? Well, while I believe in the offensive line, we still need to see it with our own 2 eyes, or in my case, 4 eyes, before we know that it's fixed for certain. And then the second thing would be the pass rush. Pass rush improved last year, but you still have some guys that you want to see more out of. Charles Omenihu, I think, can be better than what he was last year. King Felix, we're still waiting on him to take that next step. Those are 2 things I'm looking at. If they sure up, then this team's going to be in really good shape in 2025. Richard writes in, do you think we will have a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard wide receiver? If so, who will it be? The first half of that question, I would lean towards no. It's been a minute since the Chiefs had a 1,000-yard rusher. As good as Pacheco is, he's never rushed for 1,000 yards. So I would guess no on that. Receiver, yes. I do think you'll have a 1,000-yard receiver. I think Rashee Rice, assuming he plays every game, and there's some outside factors there, potential suspension, and coming back from injury and all that. I think Rashee Rice goes over 1,000. But a 1,000-yard rusher, the problem, too, even if Pacheco is great this year, is they run by committee with Kareem Hunt getting involved. You see Brashard Smith and others. It kind of limits your opportunities to have a 1,000-yard rusher. But a 1,000-yard receiver, yeah, I think Rashee Rice can do that, and I think that Xavier Worthy can come awfully close to that, too. Two more questions. Richard writes in, how many sacks will Chris Jones have this season? Chris Phone, his new name. Gosh, if he has 10, I'll be thrilled. Especially as the defensive tackle. That's hard. He's going to take on a lot of double teams. 10, I think, if everything goes right, he stays healthy, that's doable for Chris Jones. Anything less than 8, I would start to be a little concerned about Chris Jones getting older here. Last question. Carl writes in, when we go on another run, could Mahomes sit more than 2 games at the end of the season? I doubt that. I highly doubt that Mahomes could be sitting 2 games because you got a lot of good teams in the AFC. The Bills are talented. The Ravens are talented. The Texans are going to be improved this season. I think your room for error is not huge this year. You would like to have everything wrapped up by Week 18, but that's not a guarantee at this point. If you get everything wrapped up by Week 17, I think you ought to be thrilled. But 2 games, that seems like a bit of a stretch. For continuing Chiefs coverage, subscribe now to the KSC Chiefs Report for free, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Turn on notifications. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.